Storm Chaser Jason Appleton, first today on YouTube. Congrats to you. You almost made it there, Gary. Hello to Kelly. Good morning to Noodlehead. Hello to Shonda as well, Weather Geek, and Sandy. Renee is on as well. Hello to Angela. Hold on to that cup of coffee. You're going to need it. Turn the heat on, Dale says. Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. All right, good morning, everybody. Let's get right into the important part of the day, and that is, of course, oh, yes, the countdown to the winter forecast. Won't be long until we get to Halloween night. Now, time to be determined on that, so just kind of FYI, specifics. I never really reveal the time until it happens. So more on that in the coming weeks, but just a gentle reminder that it's still on track to come out on Halloween night. Hello, everyone. I'm wave meteorologist Brian Goode. Welcome to the blog today. Oh, boy, we have a lot to cover here on this Friday before we multiple issues actually being covered today, and I'm going to try to give you a little bit of the nuggets of the long term. Where's Cameron? Everyone, wake up, Cameron. Make sure he's awake. Make sure Adam's in here before I get into long term stuff. So I'll do that as a nice little Friday treat for you all, and then I'll let you guys be on your way and enjoy the rest of your Friday, right? Okay, so let's start off with what looks to be the radar, but in reality, we're going to hold off on looking at precipitation here for just a second. I want to first take you over to a headline that I'm sure you've heard already. You've been paying attention to the morning news, and that has been the overnight earthquake into the Philippines, especially just off the coast. So many aftershocks. I believe there have been about 10 to 15 aftershocks there into the Philippines. I don't know all the specifics yet on damage and injuries, but I know there's a lot of video coming out of the shaking. I know there may have been a brief tsunami issue, but most of the tsunami alerts didn't go out. They didn't feel it was necessary. But look at all the aftershocks. Those are all in the yellow have been the most recent. The larger the circle, the more intense the quake, and the biggest one, can't even see it there. It's kind of in the blend of all those yellows. The reds being the most recent aftershocks in general, though, just offshore. The center of it was southeast of Santiago. Or Santiago, I don't know if I say it right. of the Philippines. 7.4. Originally 7.6. Typically, they did get adjusted after the initial report, and it was adjusted to a 7.4. So yeah, Earth has been a little mad here again lately, doing a lot of shaking, right? All right, that's one aspect. Now let's switch you all the way over to back to our side of the world here, where we are tracking the active tropics still. And we were talking about all these different name systems, right? Well, there is this tropical low that it easily could see the spin. I mean, it's almost got the little eye look to it. So it's fair. It doesn't have a frontal component. So they decided to go ahead and classify this as a tropical storm before it gets into the colder waters heading toward United Kingdom and the western side of Europe. So it gets the name of Karen. So it will take the K spot on the list way into the northern Atlantic right now. Meanwhile, we have Jerry still trying to hold it together. Jerry's fighting a lot of lopsidedness because the shear is just really ripping on it right now. So it's not fully organized. Still, though, the track would take it as a another fish storm, if you will, another curve out to sea, which is good. Near the coastline, this is our front that came through. What a loop this has been, because originally this was Imelda. Imelda left town, left behind that tail that was draped across Florida. You guys remember that. That tail portion around Florida then fed into our area for the heavy rain event into the Ohio River Valley, and combined with the cold front that came in from the west and sunk all the way down into Jacksonville and east of Florida, and now is developing again into another area of low pressure before it becomes a nor'easter. What a loop that has been really across this entire region, and it'll continue to go all the way up to around the big cities. It'll loop there for a while, and then finally it should head out to sea only for a chance for it to actually curve back into Canada, eastern Canada, later in October, which is pretty wild, because remember, the Atlantic overall fairly blocked on a lot of these systems. So but anyway, the pieces of Imelda have been interesting. Now, it's not fully Imelda, but you get the idea. If you were to track its footprints, if you will, that has been the track on it. But this coastal low is going to be a big story this weekend because it's going to impact so many population zones there along the eastern seaboard. Nor'easter, you can get a nor'easter in Charleston, you can get a nor'easter into Virginia. Nor'easter is doesn't have to be a northeast storm. It's all about the dominant wind flow along the coast, and that's what we call a nor'easter. But you typically get them only where you have the coastline on your left-hand side. So that's why they are typically in the same spot, whether it's the winter time or in the autumn time period. But the wind will be howling for sure. A lot of beach erosion. I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is going to be a strong tropical storm, low-end hurricane for them. So the same impacts as far as power. There's a gnat in here. Wow, they keep flying around me. I promise I took a shower today. All right, maybe that's the problem. At least it's not a stink bug. Those stink bugs are everywhere. They're crawling into every space I can ever imagine. Here, home, everywhere. Those things they're stealth. We need to design some type of car that's designed with the idea of a stink bug. Boy, that thing would just sneak through anywhere. All right. So anyway, where was I? Yes, the coastal low. That will be our focal point for the main headlines this weekend nationally. Now, for us, I don't think we're going to have too much to worry about other than it may help us outline for some cooler weather later in the week. More on that in a second. I'm not done with the tropics. We also have a tropical wave that could have developed into the Bay of Campeche, but it did a little hop, skip, and jump over to the Pacific Ocean and now has become Raymond. And just northwest of Raymond, right here, is Priscilla. And Priscilla's moisture is going to try to feed into the Rockies, give them some mountain snow. Don't see a huge connect to us just yet. It may take a while to get any of that moisture eastbound. But there you go, around the world with a lot of names from Karen to Jerry to Nor'easter, which probably won't get named because it's got a frontal component, to Raymond and Priscilla. And then you have earthquake on top of that. It's been a busy Friday, considering how quiet it is here, which is pretty fascinating. All right, speaking of that, let me show you a live look at Huber's Orchard and Winery. Beautiful. It's going to be packed this weekend. It's this time period, usually the second weekend of October. And if you got a beautiful week in the second week of October, get ready. Get ready. It is going to be very busy there this weekend with lots of sunshine at play and comfortable temperatures. Everyone gets usually their pumpkins and decor, everything they want, their jams they want to make now to get ready for Halloween being a couple of weeks out. So it always works out well. So anyway, expect a lot of folks to be there into Hubris this weekend. Next weekend, there's a chance next weekend. The problem next weekend is that we could get maybe some rain. More on that coming up in a second. Lows this morning says 47. Louisville actually dropped to 46 for a low temperature this morning. We had a few 37s. Tennessee was 37. I know we had 37 into Brandenburg this morning. I think maybe 37 or 38 into Marion County. And around the capital, same story, about 37, 38 this morning. And we see we got some 39s in Indiana. I didn't see any reports of frost this morning. So if you did have any, let me know, and I'll pass that along. Oh, I got them. All right. That's not going to bother me anymore the rest of this update. Okay. So anyway, temperatures will get close to the 40s again. Next week, there's a bit of a drop coming our way, but otherwise, we'll have a little bit more of a moderation in our lows. Starting tonight, mainly because of some high clouds are going to be streaming in. You saw a hint of here in just a second. All right, currently, where are we at? We're at 50 to heat wave, 48 into Fort Knox, 47 into Corden, and still at 44 in Seymour. It is a chilly start to the day, all right? So nice and quiet. No worries about any rain in the area today. How's everyone going here? Any questions? What did you say? The Volkswagen stink bug. There you go, Jan. See, that's what they needed, the Volkswagen stink bug. I think a stink bug would be a funny name for a car. You probably won't get a date, but it will look cool. Marianne had to wear a coat this morning to take Larry Fritz out. Thank you for the picture of Larry Fritz, by the way. He hasn't gotten that message. Dottie and Leo don't wake up until 7 a.m. Well, Leo's getting up there, so you have to understand. Lanesville had a little bit of frost. Thank you, Danny. Anyone else get a little bit of patchy frost this morning? Probably not enough to really use the scraper. The defroster in your car probably would take care of the majority of that. But it was expected to be a thin layer to begin with. Not quite a full-on killing frost scenario. I don't see that happening for a bit longer. 46, Katie. Okay, thank you. 39, Needlehead says over in Perryville. Appreciate that. 36 is, that's what you thought you had there. Okay, I got you now. Okay, so here's where we're going to go with the game plan today. Today, I don't know why the satellite didn't kick on, so let me turn it on. Maybe. Are you going to work? It is in a mood today. Hold on one second. Let me see what's happening. Sometimes these things work out or well, sometimes they don't. I see what happened. Okay, hold on. Let me flip this over here, move that over on that side, dot my I, cross my T over that. Yep, over there. Yep. Move that one over here. Now, if I connect the dot on this one and move it over here. Oh, subtract the 7. Yep, that's good. That's good. There we go. We got it. Take a little bit. It's Friday. The clouds should have shown up, though. Why are they not showing up again? Hold on. Our satellite data is having a little bit of an issue today, so I'm going to switch over to different sources until I get the right one that I need it to. I'm determined here now. Okay, it may kick in. Sometimes it takes a while to load. But anyway, we do have some rain moving into St. Louis this morning. You can see some of the clouds. They're really faint on this image. But there are a lot of high, thin clouds that are flowing in out of Missouri. They will be arriving here this afternoon. They may help shave off maybe a degree or two, nothing major. It will make for a little more of a hazier sky. Still a very pleasant day, but they will linger tonight as well. I don't think we're going to get much rain out of this. You can already tell it's drying up. The area is quite dry, so it should shrink as it continues to get closer to us. But it should act as a mini blanket for tonight to keep us from dropping too low as well, not as low as we've had this morning. So that's the whole point of all that, is that the clouds, the high thin clouds from this little batch of rain in Missouri, will help insulate us slightly today. It'll help block the sun in the afternoon and then insulate us for tonight. Fair enough? All right, enough on that one. You can see it's a decent little band of rain. Unfortunately, though, it is not going to hold together. So we'll hold on to the 10% in case we were to get a sprinkle or a drop out of it, especially west of 65, but odds are pretty low. Here's Futurecast. It's got a decent handle. It shows the clouds flowing on in, almost a bit of a disconnect because these are higher up, so they'll move a little faster. but they line up this afternoon. Should make for a pretty sunset this evening. So there you go. Always love when that happens, especially with the Racing Louisville game tonight, touchdown Friday night. It's always nice to have a kind of a fall feel and vibe outside, and then you got a pretty sunset to look at while you're watching the game. Always just adds to the storyline, right? Tomorrow morning, we'll wake up with these clouds, so we could have a nice sunrise too tomorrow with them still lingering. It's not really an overcast. They're just high, thin, and variety. And then they'll slowly thin out throughout the day on Saturday. But because it starts off with that hazier sky, the thermometer will be a little slow to reach its climb. A little bit more of an acceleration after 1 or 2 in the afternoon. Should get us above 70, though. And then as we get into Sunday, dry on Sunday, warm. You can already see that nor'easter going up the coast, right? The western side of the clouds being thrown into eastern Kentucky, but that's about as far as they can reach. So we will stay high and dry from that nor'easter there. All right, so that is going to be the main player, again, across the weather map, will be its determined track. It does waver a bit around Boston and the Delmarva Peninsula, back and forth, before it does get a little bit more of a kick out to sea. But while it's here, there is something you can't see on this map that is somewhat significant, and that is a high pressure that is a little bubble of high pressure right into South Central Canada. It's going to find a way to sneak in briefly in between all this tropical feed, thanks to Priscilla, feeding in this front here in the Rockies. And here's our nor'easter. And then this high pressure is going to briefly sink down in between roughly Wednesday or Thursday. That may actually allow us for a small temperature drop before it moves out of the way. It will help in moving, by the way, this nor'easter to the east. So you'll see that kind of get a bit of a push right there. High takes it out. We get the little drop in temperature, probably again Wednesday or Thursday, maybe even Friday. We'll see on its exact timing. It's hard to tell this far out, but at some point, middle and the latter portions of next week, we should see upper 60s again for highs, maybe back down into the upper 40s. Wouldn't surprise me. After it moves out, then we warm up again. Now, what is interesting about next Friday through Sunday, especially, is the models, the two main ones we look at, too, GFS and Euro. They are having a bit of a disagreement. I'll just say they're fussing. They're fussing with each other. That this next little wave of moisture, whether or not that's going to aim right into the Ohio Valley, or will it be much more amplified to the north and impact the Great Lakes and portions of the Mid-Atlantic. And it really just depends on the placement of the high at that point of where it wants to move. So that needs some more wiggle room. GFS is still wanting to try to drop these showers down over us at some point Friday and Saturday. Euro, for a few runs now, has been consistent on keeping that out of our hair and staying north, keeping us mainly for a good chunk of the weekend dry and warm. I'm talking like 80-degree type of warmth. So next weekend, it's not set in stone. So when you see the 10-day and you're worried about plans next weekend, don't panic. There's still some wiggle room with that. It's getting a little bit more of a traffic jam here, right? A lot of different systems lined up, and they don't really move much until the very end of the 10-day. Then they start to move around, and that's when we don't know the impacts on our weather locally yet when that happens. But either way, there's your rain chance. We'll watch it. It does look to be warm. And then we get into a little bit more of an organized cyclone develops here into the front range of the Rockies, and a decent front will stretch in, finally get some Gulf moisture. We have not seen that directly from the Gulf like that in a while. I mean, yeah, the rain event on Tuesday, really it was Monday of this past, or this week that we had earlier, when that tail portion of Imelda tried to curl in from Texas. That was about the last time we had a somewhat similar look to that. Otherwise, majority of our flow was coming in west to east along the Ohio River. But anyway, this has potential to be a pronounced system, and maybe at the very end of the 10-day or just beyond the range of the 10-day, but there is a chance to get some decent rain, maybe some thunderstorms out of it. The low itself looks like it's going to want to cut into central Canada because of all this mess here. It can't really go due east. So with that cutting nature, it may actually stall, actually. This low may move into central Canada and you just kind of get stuck there. Anyway, with that happening, that means the front will likely be a very stretched out front. So right now, I'm not overly worried on severe with that idea with the parent low being so far away. But there could be at least a band of rain, some thunderstorms If I had to pinpoint right now, it would probably be the very end of the weekend of next weekend or the first few days of the following week. We got to give it a pretty wide window right now for that. So stay tuned. But it does bring in some cooler weather, perhaps more 60s for highs, if not even a bit lower, especially, he says, if this low pressure in Canada kind of gets stuck. It's hard to draw here, but right in that area, it gets stuck. It may allow for multiple lows to go around it. And if that's the case, we'll just get reinforcing shots of some chilly air for the rest of the month of October. But I'm theorizing at that point. But that's the way the pattern looks to be. All right, so what do I have next? Oh, yes, some long-term stuff. I have the snow matrix coming up next. But I don't know if you really want to see that. You seem like you're a pretty quiet crowd today. Like you're not in the mood to look at that. Like I think you're fine, right? You're fine with just knowing how things look into next weekend, and we don't need to go any further. That's the vibe I'm getting. Now maybe I'm reading the chat wrong, but that's what it seems like. Hey Eric, you got Salem got a little frost this morning. Oh, okay. All right. David's ready for the frost and the freeze. Yeah, still mowing. I'm ready for the allergies to be over. Let's get rid of this ragweed. Let's see. Good morning, Joe. Hope all is well. Hello to Judy. David says, bots. Cody, don't play with us. Angie, show it. Katie, keep the snow away from. All right. Well, I don't know. Quit messing with us. All right, fine. Guys, we're so moody today. Let me show you. This is the new matrix for the long term. And I kind of wrote on there so you give an idea. Now, yes, was it last week? It was trying to hint toward early November, right? Well, a bit of a delayed on that showing up now is more toward the middle and latter portions of November. We get a little more active on the signal. I mean, this is just one long-term model. I'm not saying this is set in stone, but what I like to see, not so much the snowfall amounts. I know those are what everyone focuses on, and that's the pretty stuff. You want to see several of them because it gives you an indicator that, snow on the table or not, it gives you an indicator that it's going to get colder. And that's step one, right? To get snow, you got to get colder. So there's at least an obvious trend toward a colder setup for mid-November, maybe late November. Not too shocking to see that because it is November after all. But it keeps delaying too. We started to see the signal on this in early November, so it was pushed back. One of the reasons why I think that's the case, though, is this. When you look at the CFS especially, there's not much of a snowpack into Canada to look at. So a lot of these systems that are moving in, they modify. That's perfectly normal to see that happen because the friction of the bare ground warms them up. I mean, they could be pretty cold up in Canada, but by the time they get here, they're like 60s for highs. But as we evolve into early November, we start to develop the snowpack. And I think it's because of what I was referring to, where that low over the next few weeks may get stuck there into central Canada and we get repeated rounds of low pressures on it. That may be enough to allow for a snowpack to build. Now, when you do that, now you've reduced the amount of friction when these systems, these fronts drop in, and therefore you can get colder shots of air into the Midwest and even the Ohio Valley. So I can see, while it is doing a bit of a delay later in November, because we don't have the left image established yet. We don't have the snowpack built up yet. So we've got to get this in place first. This is step one. And we may have to sacrifice a few more weeks before we can get to what everyone is really wanting. That makes sense. That's fair, right? That's the closest sneak peek at a winter outlook that I can give you all as we go along. Oh, you see Wavy, by the way, popping in with the crashes there. Don't forget, we do have our Wavy alerts all the time there being displayed on the our Wave Weather Now channel. They will make a little sound. Usually for a car accident, you'll hear a horn sound and immediately pop in, but it's for weather alerts. But you can see everything's in there, all the different crashes. So, and it's instant too. And then sometimes they come with little images. So very cool whenever we are able to display that. Just make sure you guys know the Wavy can do a lot. So I hope you guys are paying attention to Wavy's lovely features there. All right, here's the 10-day. There we go. 69 today. Again, increasing clouds, high clouds. Not a bad looking weekend. Next week, not bad. I mean, considering we have a temperature drop with that much in the way of rain, that's not bad. Very pleasant next week. And then we'll start the rain chance about next Sunday. But again, just a reminder, until the GFS to Euro kind of sort out how the wave of rain in the Great Lakes will impact us, this is going to change. And it could change to a warmer scenario, and it could change to a cooler and wetter one. So to be honest, both are equally possible. So there you go. Callie says, keep the severe weather away. Yeah, no strong severe weather signal showing up in the long term right now on the tools that I use anyway, so that's good. Cameron, are we done with the week-long 80s? Yeah, I think so. I think a few 80s here and there, you can get those. That's normal. But week-long, yeah, it's really tough now, guys. Really tough to get much above 80 from here on out. And the 90s are certainly done. So good. Good riddance. Let's see. What is the matrix? Yeah, thanks for the quote there. Appreciate it, Joe. All right, guys, you seem good. All right, told you I'd give you a little nugget. I don't lie to you all. Sometimes you think that I'm always going to steer you the wrong way or mess with you. I don't. I always, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I may be vague in how I get to that point, but I'm always going to do it for you all. All right, that's your Friday nuggets for the day on long term. Enjoy the weekend, everyone. I will see you coming up on midday at 11 a.m. And I'm here also for noon, 3 p.m., and the 4 p.m. today. All right, so I'll catch you guys several times today. See you later.